things on here to start with Splyce versus Denial. And we're going to hand it over now to our casters, Ben and Chance.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's been 5 years, like we heard, since we were back at this wonderful venue, and it feels so good to be back home, cool to be back in London, and there's so many storylines, Chance. So many storylines coming to this event. Obviously, the desk covered them quite extensively, but what's the big storyline you look at?
I mean, I think the biggest picture is 8 of the 16 teams made a roster change. We have no idea how good pretty much any of them are going to be, and all the teams that were towards the top are the guys that didn't make the changes, right? Gen.G's the same team, LG, Optic, Splyce as well, who's going to be playing next. And so we don't know how these matchups are going to work because we've seen like pieces of it together where they play against like Team X versus Team Y and things are close, but it's going to be chaos. We're going to learn as we go, and it's right from the first series when we see Denial play.
Right, I think that's the key, right? Straight off the bat, we have a fantastic game. Splyce versus Denial. For Splyce, their storyline has been improvement, consistent improvement. Temp putting up some big numbers, always a key to their success. For Denial, who knows what we're going to get? This is a brand new squad. You can take a look at the old Red Reserve players, string together some extras to that, and all of a sudden, you may have yourself a championship caliber squad. Definitely one that I'm sure the European fans are going to want to get behind.
And it's just a tough way to evaluate as well. I mean, I think the easiest way to do it is you look at the one-for-one trades. You look at Brack as being the replacement for Scraps, and you think, okay, like Scraps, you might want to give him the edge, but Brack is nasty in its own right. So if it's a downgrade at all, it's a very, very small one. Then you look for Alex in place of Zero. Well, Alex has already placed top 6 at this event as well. If anything, it will at worst be a small downgrade. So I expect a Red Reserve like we've seen before.
And one of the key things for this, Vance is going to be back to running a sub. He says he feels more comfortable with it. Doesn't want to be running the Maddox as you've seen throughout most of the year. So for me, this is a big game for Denial. Start off strong. They themselves don't really know what to expect. Of course, map number 1 will be Frequency Hardpoint, and already Splyce with an advantage.
And keep in mind, you talk about a strong start. The pool that these guys are in,
it's horrible.
It is a fierce one. They have Gen.G and LG to look forward to after this. So you talk about needing a hot start, it might come down to tie breaks to the point where every single map is going to matter. Splyce, obviously, they know that. They have a nice little lead coming off the rip. Of course, inside the hill, though, Denial is fighting back, and they do potentially have those spawns for next.
Number 1 on the minimap there. Rated is going to be so key. You've seen him play very passive here, just trying to control the spawns, but it hasn't exactly worked. You can see Alex has spawned out, but also so has Jerd. So it's going to be an interesting rotation over towards our new hill. Whilst the scrap time, of course, Denial should be able to pick up. Picking up to the first hill, 26-14. But again, Rated did such a good job of just holding those spawns. Didn't really have to take any gunfights. Just kind of sat there and went, all right, guys, I have spawns, I guess.
And he will take that whenever he can get it. Not having to take a gunfight, doesn't have to move. We'll watch the exact same thing forever. And well, pressure eventually going to be coming on the flank, but Splyce trying to hit it from all angles. Tempt the first one to die. Doesn't take anyone with him, and he's going to spawn far out, so it's going to be tough pressure on Splyce, but you see a couple kills coming in, but it's just trades back and forth. Accuracy can find 2, and that's just enough to get Aqua in the back to block those spawns.
And you know, Aqua there, KN in his hand, may have picked that up, may have actually spawned with it, but one thing's for sure, the KN, definitely powerful. You may see it used on certain maps, maybe not all maps, but definitely a powerful weapon. And also, Vance 150 away from streaks. Can he try and secure them right here? Slides in, there's the lightning, a great start for him.
And just to get the KN stuff out of the way, my expectation is going to be not every team's going to use it, but it's going to be ICR players that don't want to use the Maddox on Maddox maps. So Frequency is the tailored expectation of accuracy. Wants to post up, wants to play slow so he can pull out the KN. He has the sock, he has everything, and that's where you'll see the KN thrive.
Vance wanted to use a sub all year long, and well, great start. His first map on land, 8-5, a lightning already. As it stands, 49-44, advantage Denial. As Joe breaks in, the pressure still coming through though from Splyce. They're not going to give this one up just yet. Splyce, of course, with the favorable spawns as well. Accuracy, player with that KM was able to find one. That was Vance. Couldn't find the second as a hardpoint was consistently contested.
Good game back and forth so far, though. No team really able to make any break. Of course, you got to manage with the lightning strike. Expectations on the next hill. Denial will be in a fairly decent spot, but pretty much scrappy as you'd expect. A bunch of Splyce players trying to come inside the hill because, of course, they had that close spawn. And I think Denial, well, the gunfight's not going their way. The full wipe is going to be in outside of Brack.
Or is it?
Not even there. Able to take down 2, albeit, though, just to shave a few extra seconds off the clock.
And that is important. So just kind of talk a little bit more about the Brack storyline, and he brought it up just a little bit, but an 8-5 start for him. He is a fantastic player. Every time we've seen him play this year, he's done wonderful things. This could maybe be the team where you see him go on one of those deep runs.
You will get the immediate comparison of how good he is compared to Scraps.
Right.
How well he does on this roster compared to Scraps, because Scraps, a lot of people would put towards the top, maybe in your list for top 5 player in the game, with the arguments there. And if Brack can do the similar type things, then he's instantly in that conversation as well. Full speed ahead so far, lighting up the field.
Brack does have his War Machine as well to use. Probably not going to use it here, but 500 points away from streaks. Finally, he falls. In terms of the score, we have a nail-bitingly close map number 1, 67-62. Advantage denial as Aqua springs into life. He gets himself a double. Hill broken. Splyce with control.
And something to keep in mind as well, I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen his specialist completely different now. It's purely going to be score-based. You know exactly when they're going to be coming in, so absolutely no excuse not to have Black Jacket, which you can see these players do. You know when Temp is going to be a kill or two away. You can make those trades, but still able to do a little bit of damage with it, picking up a couple kills, and well, the rotation's in. Splyce trying to extend this lead.
And now you have to be careful because Temp is close to streaks of his own. 250 points away. War Machine from Brack rattles in. Temp is still alive somewhere amidst the chaos of the hill. 110 will do. Hardpoint contested. He's trying to play just a little bit of bait and switch. There's one. Finds the second. Full streaks for him. Bance's turn now to try and break the hill.
Well, there's the first opening one, but he can only connect with one on the grab slam, but his teammates are in the back, so Spencer's coming out for everybody. Jerd connects with 2. Well, that's essentially just to buy Temp time to get inside the hill, wins the first, gets traded, and well, Splyce, they're doing everything they can to pour in 1 by 1. Well, stuns are going to help out the players, the reinforcements are there, and well, Splyce doing a solid job trying to maintain that 20-point lead, if not more, and importantly for them, still able to hold the right side of the map.
And that's a great Tech 5 as well in rotation because Looney's picked up the scrap time. He's close to streaks. His teammates have rotated as well. Bear that in mind. Aqua at the back of the map. Looney's probably going to fall here, but it shouldn't really matter. Spawns in Splyce's favor and also the lead. A lot invested there though, Chance, but you still have 2 streaks available, 1 streak available for Temp.
Well, Taint's going to use it right away. Accuracy called in the pressure, all coming up from one side, and you can see the streak might only get 1 kill, but the teammates are able to get the rest. Now Jerd, he has free reign. His teammates lock down the back spawns. You can run like a wild man wherever you want, so he's trying to spawn kill while Looney is just watching the flank. And Splyce, you can see the best hill we've really had in this game. How far out they're starting to push the opposition, and no one from Denial anywhere near the ballpark even contesting this hill.
Yeah, this is where you can build yourself a big lead. Temp 19 and 11, by the way. A great way to start off his CWL London campaign. Jerd with the double. That is going to be full 60 for Splyce, and they can already think about that rotation. Now it's really bad for Denial. Anytime they die, they're spawning at the wrong side of the map. You have to win the rotational gunfights, and so far, so good. But 2 players now, 3 players overall spawning out. You have a hell of a job to do here if you're the 2 Denial players alive. Joe is one of them, wins the first fight in window, won't win the second. Brack is there to trade. He gets himself 2, and Denial hang on.
And he's got to go big though, right? Because Splyce had a phenomenal second hill right there. They've got the rotation over to third, but if you are from the front side of his hill, you can make this hold, but Splyce is taking their time. Got someone in the contest spot right now. You got one player trying to full flank. That might be the problem. If not the Temp, his bracket's going to fall. This is where accuracy comes on the flank. He can find one, and the break is perfect from Splyce, rocketing away with this lead.
Big scary thing here for Denial is Temp still, of course, with the Hellstorm missile. So when it comes to the rotation towards pipes, that's where we saw the first Hellstorm invested. Lightning, of course, in the first rotation from Vance. You're probably going to see it here if Splyce don't have an early rotation, but Temp's already there, ready and waiting. Wants to do it the old-fashioned way with his gun, and well, there's 2. Finally falls, and his teammates in a position to trade. Well, Aqua instantly springs into life. He finds Alex, finds the second. Vance finally shuts him down, but Splyce just keeping that pressure on, picking up all the hill time.
This is getting very close to do or die time on this map right now for Denial. They got a lot of streaks they have to deal with. You got accuracy sitting on the Purifier for the next hill as well, which granted rated has it as well, but it's a lot that you have to deal with. A couple kills in the kill feed going away to Splyce, who already had that 70-point lead. This is 3 hills in a row where they are just, again, rocketing away with the score.
And Looney already with the lightning. He's looking for one more, gets it, and you're absolutely right. A game which was once upon a time so close, back and forth. The second rotation, Splyce had dominated. They ran themselves 4 sets of streaks. They've used their specialists efficiently. They've slayed out extremely efficiently as more streaks now earned as well. This is definitely Splyce's game to lose.
Well, I mean, Vance has a couple streaks in his own. He had a
His
solid
Splyce,
start.
that's more for him.
Yeah, he's getting some more as well. So you talk about the new guy with the saw doing what he can, but I think otherwise you got to talk about the KN, right? Accuracy, having a pretty solid game overall, and then Rated, of course, he's been sticking with the Maddox. And granted, the score lines for the AR players on this map never going to be overwhelmingly great, but it seems to be at least mildly impactful. And again, Splyce are just beyond full control.
Yeah, rotation in. Splyce pick up the early time here on P1. More streaks come through, doesn't connect with anything. Vance, the only player with a streak left. It will be the Lightning, but here, if you're Denial, your key to success and even starting a comeback is going to be that rotation to the second hill. First rotation, they did it so well. Second rotation was really where Splyce built this big lead. If you're Denial, you have to focus on those spawns.
Well, it's getting out of control as well. Jared is just picking up
good.
effortless 3 pieces. You got Looney, who's, well, so confused why the enemy isn't there because he's seeing his teammates come from where he's expecting him to be. And even with Alex at 13 and 27, obviously the key man that, well, simply just needs to turn things around because Splyce has been perfect. Back in the back, able to
you're getting what you want.
the third as well. Those are the kind of plays that Denial needs to start making consistently slow. There's number 4 for him, but he's got to take down all 5. You can't get all 5 from one man. Not good enough for the hill.
I was going to say, where's the help? But Rated didn't want to push out because he didn't want to lose control of the hill. Now, all of a sudden, he has to try and fight by himself. His teammates have spawned down. Keep your eye on the score. Splyce at 2:30, 20 seconds, all they need to put map 1 to bed. But the problem here for Denial is the damage that they'll surely be able to do. Vance is forced to invest a lightning strike. That's going to funnel Splyce inside the hill. But now you have to take the gunfights, and you've got to do it quickly. 244, 250, 245. It's getting so close. Is anyone going to contest? Finally, the contest comes through, but it's a little too late. Jared with another grab slam if he wants to put the game to bed. Doesn't need to invest it. And Splyce comfortably take map 1.
Well, Ben, it was close until it wasn't. I think it was really just, you know, a couple of hills just back to back. That second and third on the second set of rotations where, I don't know, Splyce just made it look easy. Made it look like they played this map 100 times together as a team because everything was perfect. Especially that break they had on the third hill where they took the extra 10 seconds at the start of it wait for accuracy to come back through you, and you time it perfectly with the Tempest to get the breaks. But anytime you watch a guy like Brack pick up a 4-piece and they lose the hill,
it's rough.
It's not okay.
Yeah, it's rough. And, you know, Rated, he was left in such a horrible situation because he knows if he slides out, there's more than likely going to be more than one player. He has to try and get a miraculous double kill, which is more than likely not going to happen. So he tried to play it the safe way. But at that point, it doesn't matter. You're already so far behind in terms of points. It's tough to come back in that situation, but not the start, not the fairy tale story I'm sure Denial would have been looking for here at CWL London. They find themselves 1-0 down. Splyce with the advantage, but it's a tough first game because, again, Splyce as a team, I feel like they don't necessarily get the credit they deserve, right? Because you look at their performances and they've been so good. Obviously, grand final, you know, a 3rd place, a top 2. They're almost edging next in line to win a championship.
And another thing that's interesting, how many players have we seen in like teams as a whole tweeting about jet lag, how awful they feel just like on a rough morning? Splyce didn't say a word about that. Splyce was like, we're feeling great, we're ready to go. Yeah, well, Jerk can do whatever he wants. Jerk lives like 20 minutes away from here, it feels like, but outside of him, apparently, Splyce has just been ready to go on the day, and you can see in the map 1, they're very comfortable.
Well, here's a quick glance at what's going on over on the Bravo stream. It's Team Envious versus E United, and Team Envy with a cracking start as well. And of course, them themselves making a couple of changes to the lineup, and it seems to have worked out pretty well here, gents.
Well,
for map 1 at least.
Well, if they can even finish, I mean, you don't want to count E United out in the slightest. Trying to see, it doesn't look like they get the final 20 seconds. So Envy's going to have a very sizable lead, but my expectation for Envy is they'll have a good tournament now, but will be nasty in the future. But I've heard a lot of people saying it very well might be right. They might just be nasty right away. Because the players that they picked up, Pharaoh and Decimate, were just beyond outstanding early on in the year. But especially for Decimate, it's just been so long since we've seen him. I don't know how much he's been like scrimming, let alone playing 10s and all that. So I thought there might be a minute before they got good, but apparently not.
I mean, it's a good start for Decimate. You mentioned we haven't really seen him in a while. 23 and 14 on his first map. Of course, for Team Envy, this game isn't over just yet, but you would assume they should be able to close this one out. Just needing 20 more points for E United. They're looking at over 100 to try and make this comeback. And Envy seem to break through, and it seems like maybe Hook can have a little bit of a smile on his face now here in London. He maybe gets the help he so desperately needed.
Hey, look at the slaying power sitting across.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You're
just
like,
so
yes.
much nicer to have. And you even got Ace making the switch to the main AR, which I think actually might be pretty good for him. I imagine he's better at the slower pace. He can go 23 and 15, so he's obviously having a solid map as well. And on the flip side, Clayster at 8 and 25. United cannot afford to have a slow start. They had a slow start at the last event. Things didn't really go too well for them. So as much as we want to expect them to be a great team, you make one slip up, even a couple maps don't go your way, you end up not in the top 2 in your pool, things just spiral out of control.
I want to say that was an 8-25 map there from Clay. Definitely one of the players you look for on that team to step up, lead by example. He's no stranger to big international events. He's no stranger to flying across the pond. Definitely a leader on that team. But conversation moved back over now towards that Splyce Denial matchup. And for me, it's important here that Denial don't go 2-0 down. I think they need to get that momentum, get that first map win under their belt here on LAN, and really try and build upon that.
I mean, it's going to be an absolute uphill battle. Again, not even just for this specific series, but in the pool that they have, because it's Gen G and LG that they have to look forward to.
But I think that's the key, though, right? In a pool which is as kind of heavily stacked as this, map wins are going to be so important. Because worst case scenario, let's say there is a tiebreaker somehow, map wins are going to be massive to dictate. Potentially, it could just come down to one map as who goes through into winners and who falls into losers.
So a mountain to climb, but it's the best place to start. And I don't know, different teams and different players have different opinions, but I've always been of the mind that S&D is probably the easiest one for a new team to come together, because it's a lot less about scrimming, it's more of we're talking everything over. And here's what we want to do on the map, let's go get it done. And a lot of it can come down to individual talent, which Denial does not lack. But you have situations like, let's say on that third hill in the frequency hardpoint, maybe you haven't seen a break like that yet that Splyce set up. And if you haven't dealt with it, because you've only played a map maybe 10 times at most with the number of scrims that you've had in a couple of weeks, so it's a little bit tougher to make those on-the-fly calls. For Search and Destroy, I would personally imagine it'd be a little bit easier to figure things out quicker on the fly.
And to your point, learning your teammates' tendencies, you know, in hardpoint, you know, what are they going to do off spawn? There's a lot more to kind of process in that game type, so definitely take a little longer. But as it stands, Splyce with the advantage. And of course, if Splyce were to make it to another grand final, you have Jared, so you have at least some European representation. I was walking to the venue with him this morning, kind of laughing, saying, hey, don't worry, you'll have the crowd on your side if you make it to the final. It just depends how many Europeans are on the other side, I guess. But he had a big old smile. He was a little upset that the crowd wasn't on his side at the last major, but as I said, should definitely be on his side for this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they're what, third at the first event, second at the next. And
progress.
If you believe in trends, I mean, the only option left is for them to get first. But of course, we have a very long way to go before anything like that happens. And well, see what they can put together on Hacienda. And I know Splyce has actually spent a ton of time on this map in Search and Destroy, but they've also thrown a ton of different strats to the table. I think initially, like right at the start, talking about like Vegas, they were one of the very first teams that was hefty amount of aggression mid-map. Send all 5, take control of the hallways, play it like the first hill at hardpoint on both sides, offense and defense, and go from there, but they have evolved their game. So who knows, with this much time, 3 weeks since we've seen these guys, what they can bring to the table now.
Map 2, underway. Search and Destroy, Hacienda, Splyce with the advantage in the series after taking map 1. We're going to kickstart things off on board with Braku. Pre-fire, all right, that's a little scary. And maybe that's just worked out perfectly because we keep rising the minimap. Brack, the only one from Denial that pushed over towards A, and already you can see the effect that's had. Splyce, they sent extra resources down low to A. Meanwhile, Bomb planted at B. A wonderful start to this round for Denial.
Joe is going on the flank of all flanks, and Temp just reads it. Read it like it's no problem. If you want to know where Joe is, he's going to try to be behind you, and Temp make sure to sniff him out. Keep in mind, Brack might be going on a flank of his own, but Jared cuts through mid, finds a free kill, and, well, all the trades come in at the same time, and Alex, well, he was by himself, and he's dead.
They just made that look so simple. That was a perfect retake from Splyce. No one falls, and as you called out, it started with a great read from Temp.
Well, I mean, if your opening strat on defense is let's just send 5 men over to A. Oh, they're not here. That means you're trusting your retake over towards the B site. I think the biggest issue Denial had is, well, one, just Joe getting picked off doesn't help, but obviously trying to make a play. But more importantly, you never got that hallway control. Alex had to run or wrap all the way back through Lambos just to get to top hallways. By the time he's there, Aqua and Jerd already through. And the timing, of course, can be very tough to get down because, well, when Splyce is running with 5, they don't need to play too slow.
Yeah, they can rely on their trades. You saw Jared ready and waiting to join the action. His teammates found the majority of the kills, so not really much for the Irishmen to do in round 1. But Splyce continuing where they left off. They have an advantage now here in game 2. We'll see if they can snowball it into round 2. And it seems like they're going with the old strat of anything you can do, we might be able to do a little bit better.
See how the bait is going to plan out. You got players making noise mid-map, and the Bomb has not cruised over towards the B site yet. Of course, right now, Splyce is going for a full map spread. That means they're waiting for a pick to come in. Of course, I think they have the information. The hallway is clear, so Jerd can be full speed ahead. The frag for the sneaky spot, at least is going to force him to back down. Attempt managed to get top office. No one there for Denial to watch it, so shoots the player in the back. Free first blood.
Temp has been such a playmaker this year in all game modes, and you've seen it right here in the Search and Destroy. 2 rounds in, he's found openings in both. And, well, there's another one for Temp, and Denial are falling like dominoes. Finally, they get a kill, but it's Alex again left by himself. It's an easy trade for accuracy. And the first 2 rounds have been borderline simple for Splyce.
And again, I think the big thing there was just the map spread coming in from Splyce, because it's very tough on defense to watch everything unless you're because if you watch everything, that means you basically have 5 men playing on an island by themselves, and they might just get overruled by Splyce. So something had to be left open. For whatever reason, for Nile, they picked top office to be the only thing that they were going to leave, and Temp is like, oh, 3 kills.
Thank you.
I love this. Thank you guys so much. Thanks.
Let me pad some stats real quick. Speaking of stats, 5-1. As I mentioned last round, Denial only with 1 kill, and it's come from Alex. 0-2s across the board outside of him. Track already should be falling. Sure, no stranger to the shot punch. First blood advantage Splyce, and this is not looking good here for Denial.
They are able to get the bomb down, and at least this time they're not going in with an outright man disadvantage. They have a couple players over by Lambo. No one with hall control though, but it doesn't look like Splyce is gonna go for that approach yet. Alex feels some pressure coming from the backside. Only spots out 1 player, but the second's coming, but he does have help. He's got a player in the Lamborghini, so this is not easy for Splyce to try to break through, especially with the SOG, but to say it's not easy, players somehow get through Splyce all of a sudden in a 3v1. It is just instantaneous with them.
That was such a horrible fight at Lambo. Denial are gonna watch that back and be furious with themselves. Pants isn't even gonna win the gunfight. Now you can give the bomb to whoever you want, and I'm hearing laughing from Splyce. Laughing at Denial.
Temp is informing the opposition of their skill up.
Yes, apparently they're not very good, Chance. I don't know if you heard that. No.
I mean, again, they got 3rd and 2nd. So they're obviously a top-tier team in the game, but, maybe not quite as much.
To his point, that fight at Lambo, I mean, come on, that can't happen. You had 3 players there, and all of a sudden, 1 Splyce player slides in, teammate comes in for the switch, everyone falls, people running away. Splyce just saying, thank you very much, we take control.
I don't know if there was like Joe with the SOG was like looking down the back alley with the SOG, and he's like, I can't have this if the timing was bad. But literally, I was like, hey, hard to get through the door, especially with 2 players there. And then they just go straight in, and it's just make it look easy. By the way, Temp, 7-1. Aqua hasn't died, Jerd hasn't died. Accuracy and Looney have died once apiece, but every single round, very, very easy from Splyce.
Yeah, too easy. As Splyce now go over towards an attacking round of their own to target the A site. It seems as if Aqua is going to be putting that down, bomb planted very quickly. Now it's retake time for Denial. First blood still yet to come in. You may see it over towards Connector. Bear in mind, Aqua now just 100 away from streaks. The plant definitely assisted him with that. Temp, another first blood. That's 8-1 for him. He does get traded out. Jerd with a pick, though. Massive number advantage for Splyce. It's a 4 versus 1. It comes down to Rated, who's 0-3. Is he going to find his first kill? He does, but surely this is too much. I love this from Looney, waiting perfectly, saying, I don't even want to get the kill. Let one of you, you're closer to streaks. I have him dead to rights. Don't worry, if somehow you mess this round up, I'm going to clutch up. But so smart from Looney. You love to see the small little plays that you can add to your team, I guess.
And so another like metagame analysis that's way more interesting than this current game, Splyce make it so easy, is there was either 2 or 3 players in the entire league that averaged the score and search high enough to actually earn any specialist at all.
Okay.
So it's not just the score streaks in these situations. If you got a player doing well, you're saying, this is the guy we need to feed kills just to potentially get a specialist. But of course, now Instant Streak's not the specialist because they just want a 6-0.
And to that point, look at the specialist progression. Joe,
it's
none.
not gonna happen.
Brack, none. You know, for Rated, you get a little bit. For Alex, you get a little bit more. And Vance, the closest, but around about a quarter of the way through, was Looney a swing and a miss with the sniper rifle. Only the hit marker to come. There was 2 players top corridor, though. And we find ourselves in a 4v3. Denial with the advantage. Surely this is the round they can put to bed. The problem, however, is Aqua, well, yep, he has streaks, and there's the ping with the lightning. Note the time that he pinged that, so about 50 seconds left. He's not going to call it in just yet, but he gets the information, and if he wants to use the streak blind later on, you just have to simply put one on A, one on B.
And this is actually a really good setup that Splyce has as well with the man disadvantage, but one streak gets burned, the lightning he can't ping it again, so he finds nothing. Temp though.
That can't happen.
Able to find a kill with the RK7, making it not even look easy, making it look like it's only Temp that can do it. Use the Hellstorm as well. Just gonna slow these players down, but obviously now you got a 3v3. You can't find anything, but you should have the information. This bomb, you're expecting to go down at A shortly, but now not planning just yet.
I feel like Aqua may have used those streaks just a little early there. You would like to maybe see him delay it just a tad, use it as a win condition, but either way, now you have the information. I guess when you're shooting like that, doesn't matter what you do. 3 versus 1, eat your heart out. Bence never stood a chance. Diffuse comes through, and this is going to be scary here for the London crowd, because if you were banking heavily on Denial to be the European hope, when you were praying that they could come out and maybe lift the trophy, Splyce is just giving you a reminder, no. We have an Irishman. You might want to root for us instead.
And again, it is just a mountain to climb for these guys as well because of the pool they're in. And something interesting with
it's a horrible
three of the core players for this Denial team that were obviously formerly on Red Reserve, the 2 CWL events that we've had, when they make it out of pools, they got the top 6. When they didn't make it out of pools, they got the top 12. So that can be maybe not a radical shift, but the difference maker for the team. Now the pool and they're in, if they lose this one, it's going to be incredibly difficult to make it out top 2. And they haven't shown yet that they're a team that can make that run. So they definitely need to try to bounce back.
You won't do it. I want to see him just flick it. Just hit a nice little. You're no stranger to some fancy shots like that.
In this game, no, in this game, in this game, it's sport. I don't know what it
gas
feels
you up, Chance. Just set the gas. Bump down. Aqua with the plant. And now it just comes down to the question: is Denial even going to win a round? They get a first blood, but I mean, Rated just got evaporated off the map. Now it's Jared trying to hit mid-cut, sees 2 players. Now he can play a little bit of ring around the rosy. Finds himself 2v1, and that should be that. Jared with the double, just to put an exclamation mark on the map. 6-0. A very, very good-looking Splyce early on here at CWL London.
Well then hot takes, Splyce.
Very good.
Good team. Denial roster changes. I mean, we got a long way to go, but it's just. They're not showing life is the problem. It's like the hard point. It started out as going great, and I was like, oh, Pants has streaks. The SOG is working out pretty well, like things are going, and then all of a sudden, Splyce flipped the switch, and I said, oh, maybe not.
And that's kind of why I felt like map number 1 was so important for them. I felt like they needed to get the momentum. They needed to build upon that, and obviously you saw how map number 1 ended. First rotation very close to the point that we made earlier on, but after that, Splyce kind of got into the rhythm, got into the groove, and it was over. That search and destroy, Denial didn't even win a round, Chance. That can't happen.
Well, I mean, I think if you want to be optimistic for the Splyce camp, you look at their hard point on the entire year, pretty solid, but maybe not overwhelmingly great. The Surge, pretty solid, but not like dominant, albeit they're playing the best competition because they keep getting these top placings. Then their Control, they're incredibly good. Their Control is their best game mode. They're double positive in it, one of the best Control teams in the game. Have a very good argument for being the best Control team in the game, although, you know, it's an argument, let's say, but they're up 2-0. Now they're going to their best game mode. I'm feeling the Splyce 3-0.
Yeah, or maybe game 5.
Or, no,
Do we
I'm feeling the
continue on
Splyce 3-0.
trend?
Nope.
No,
not here. That's not what it looks like, Ben. I'm sorry.
All right, well, I'm going to potentially try and believe in the game 5. Whether Denial can, try and win it out of Control, we'll wait and see, because the search and destroy wasn't pretty. As it stands, Splyce 2-0 up. We'll be back after this with game 3 Control.
The Call of Duty World League is presented by PlayStation 4, the official platform of the CWL, Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix-amp of the CWL, and Republic of Gamers, the official monitor of the CWL.
First game of the day here at CWL London, and not going well for the European squad, but on the flip side, for Splyce Chance, they have themselves a nice advantage, 2-0 up in the series.
And I hate this because I normally hate like hot takes, right? Like I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We've seen this team play 2 maps, but
You're
like
a realist.
Right, and I want like more data before you start evaluating team. But the problem is like at this event, like there simply is no time. Like again, I have to keep harping on it with how brutal this pool is. There is no time to waste. If you come out of the gate slow, like if you're Denial, let's just hypothetically say they get 3-0'd, which it looks like it's going that direction, right? Like, what do you say after? Like, how do you get hyped up to play the reigning champs in Gen G, which like, granted those teams, or at least Gen G, maybe a little bit weaker than Splyce. That's the expectation. They've been placing worse, but like, it's not fun. So it sucks to have a hot take, but this is setting themselves up to have a potentially brutal tournament. So they need to at least make it competitive.
Yeah, just give yourself a little bit of a confidence boost. And early on, Splyce have said, all right, well, we'll take A. That was quick. That was very quick.
30v30.
That might actually be the quickest I've ever seen that taken. There's 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. They completely give it up. Then I'll say, take it. We're more than happy in our defensive abilities, and we're still yet to even see the first blood.
And so they're going for the heavy spawn trap, though. Because Joe backed up, that means they were allowing Splyce to spawn at the bottom left side of the map, which that's exactly where accuracy pops up. So that's why they're rocking with this setup. So every Splyce player that falls, they're going to be feed into the exact same funnel. But of course, if Splyce can break through the pressure on the bottom side of the map, then, well, they'll have free reign to start spawn killing themselves.
I love spawn trapping as much as the next guy. But with how this game has gone, to trust your ability to spawn trap is a little risky. That's for sure, as Looney escapes one shot. Brack turns attention mid-map. Accuracy deals with him anyway. Kill count relatively even. Back and forth. 24-24. Minute 28 still to go. And a big defensive stand there from Denial. They get everyone down. Now they can set up exactly as they want.
Yeah, the opening break, you know, maybe not perfect, but all's well that end well. They're able to get a little bit of a life advantage. Keep in mind, rocking the double ICR setup on the defensive end, which is what you like to see, you expect to see, and the question is, how productive can Alex be? Because, well, if you think about the first hard point, not very. Not very, so obviously a player you want to highlight to try to pick things up just a little bit. You talk about picking things up. Temp can find 2, Splyce can get all the kills. Brack, though, finds 2 of his own.
He's so good.
Like the third is going to be free. And a man needs to step up. If not Alex, maybe Brack just has to kill even more people.
Mean, there's only so many kills you can get as an individual, but Brack is doing his best here to try and give Denial the first round win. 1 life advantage, 18-17. The game slows down to a snail's pace. 35 seconds left in the round, and for Splyce, you have time for 1, maybe 2 at a push. Attacking plays, of course, if you can just contest the hill, you can pause the time. As Joe looks to try and find 1. Vance there to trade. There's 1 more player from Splyce right at the back. It's going to be Jerd, and for Jerd now, it's just about being a nuisance, a distraction, if nothing else. He drops 15 seconds. Surely this is a round Denial can close out.
Well, remember when we were talking about 2:20 being on the clock? So much time for them to get this offensive win. Well, now they got 10 seconds left on the clock. No ticks on board, but players inside the hill. It looks like Splyce, first wave of gunfights do go their way. It looks like they get more. You got a couple maybe 1v1s inside the hill.
And here's the problem. You have the respawn ability. You still have the life count. So for Splyce, you're A-okay. Just keep someone in the hill to keep the clock paused.
Accuracy flies out with the ICR. He gets trapped. It looks like Denial able to bounce back. They got a nice man advantage. Looney can only take 1, and it looks like the stabilization is there. Splyce, they get 1 more attempt, but they got 4 seconds. And, well, at this speed, I don't even think Temp can get near the hill. You got Turd inside, but he's just getting fed like a lamb to the slaughterhouse. And Denial able to get on board.
There we go. Finally, London has something to clap for. Because the first 2 maps weren't good at all.
And something that's interesting is something Rated was saying specifically to this map. Gridlock control was a thorn in Red Reserve side. He was saying on Twitter, we have been making the same stupid mistakes and we just can't fix them. It doesn't matter how much time we spend, how much we talk it over, we just haven't fixed it. Well, we talked about the talent for Denial maybe not being quite as good, maybe a small step down from what they previously had, but if you clean up those mistakes, if you clutch up in those tough positions, well, on Gridlock control, maybe a little bit better.
I think the phrase was ego challenging, when maybe they shouldn't have been. Vance close to streaks again. He's already had himself 4 streaks, not all in the hard point. Didn't really do much in the search, but Neither did any of his teammates, so not really too much to worry, and it seems as if we're going to see exactly the same. Splyce more than happy to give up control of A, but here's the problem. You've given up free control of A, which is 3 points now for Benz, who's going to earn himself a lightning strike now. I'm not necessarily sure if that's the right thing to do there for Splyce. You have to track that.
I mean, admittedly, the streaks on this map aren't the greatest. It's tough to get a really effective use out of them, but obviously it's going to be nice to have in the back pocket either way. So we'll see what happens with Splyce later on. Maybe if the lightning strike bites him a little bit, but you talk about Joe maybe biting him as well. He's 250 off with some streaks of his own, just trying to stay alive, but he's on a spree surging forward. He gets in a post, and this is where the Salks can be devastating, but never healed.
Don't worry though, rated now close to streaks. 25 points, and this is where you say, teammate, don't care who you are, don't care how close you are to yours, I'm 25 off, you better bait for me. You better run in front of me, try and cherry pick a free kill, that was the chance. Temp shuts him down elsewhere. Joe just giving himself a channel to push out off spawn. The 3 life advantage for Denial, of course, a minute 30 on the clock. 0 ticks into B, and Splyce, they're ready and waiting.
You got a War Machine coming out as well at the same time as the Lightning Strike and Temp.
Perfect.
Well, he wants the ward, he gets trapped. You talk about how effective of a use you can get. Very. Vince the Soaring Eagle able to find 1. He's able to get in the 18, and this is the move. Now even gets 2 ticks on board. They're in a great spot. Vance able to find another kill. Couple players past him, but he's shooting him in the back. There's 1. It's right there for you, Vance. Just get it. Get the grab slam too.
Could have taken the fight. Maybe it took a little bit longer. There is progression now in towards B. Vance will earn the grab slam as well. 330 away from streaks. Still alive though, over towards 18. Splyce have to deal with him. They haven't been able to. He's still alive as he finds 1 more. Can he find 2? Not gonna happen. Finally he falls, but there was 1 tick in towards B, and now you have the grab slam as well. I think you invest it here.
I was thinking if he could even use it
Use
right
it there.
That would have been outstanding, but either way, they found themselves in a pretty solid spot. Specialist battle obviously in their favor, but it's all about whether or not you can get Vance back in position.
It's all down to Spider-Man here. Sort of make a play where he didn't need to use the grab slam on their last aggressive push. Time is of the essence, 37 seconds left. The push comes through. That's an opening. 2 players of Splyce dead. Can you try and make it happen? 1 player in ice cream, he falls. Vance, surely this is your moment. The grapple comes through. He somehow stayed alive. Doesn't need to invest the slam just yet. Accuracy still deals with him, but his teammates are inside B. Almost 2 ticks. The contest comes through, but Splyce defensively so strong.
That is a big hold right there. The life count even, now only 20 seconds, and well, he'll get the grapple back maybe for 1 to 10, but they have 0 map control. You got Looney watching mid, he wins his gunfight. You got players already pushed up on your milk truck. How do you even get past? You have to use the grab slam maybe for these guys, but do you even want to? It looks like that's not the case, but Vance
still a chance.
Trying to make it happen.
It's a 3 versus 5. This is where you have to be conscious of what you want to try and do. Only a small contest, and the streak invested. It shut down the War Machine of Temp, but at the end of the day, the result is the same. Splyce win the defensive round.
And I think really both teams kind of big moments on the defensive stand. I think the first round it was Brack that we saw him pick up 3. Granted, the third one was a free kill, but even those first 2, the kill he had on Jerd, was enough to make that stuff the Splyce push. Here, well, it wasn't getting rid of Vance. Obviously, he was doing work, but it was the next push. Once we saw that kill feed light out, 2 for Aqua, 2 for Temp, it pretty much solidifies the round.
And I feel like if Vance knows that that player is 1-shot and he kills him as well at 18, he then doesn't have to go right to the front of 18 and take a 1v2. Instead, he has a 1v1 with the advantage of being an 18. That honestly could have been the play which won in the round.
And I'll bet in the comms he heard like, hey, there's a player 1-shot by the 18, and he killed 1. He was like, that's it,
him.
and then he just backs away. But either way, you got the grab slam if you want it, but Looney doesn't want him to get it. You got Splyce with a couple kills, and well, Denial gave this one up for free last time. It looks like eventually they're going to be content to do the same.
I think the play was, see if you can grab slam. See if you can use your grab slam early, so you might be able to get it again. Try and slow down the push, but instead they just give away 2 free kills.
And there, again, are no ifs, ands, or buts of whether or not a player has a specialist. You know the score, you know exactly when he gets it. So again, no more excuses. For any specialists coming out, there is 0 time base that you have to be concerned about in the slightest. So they say, hey, he's got a grab slam, let's not group up.
That's definitely true for the first one. For the second one, you know, if you're not very good at maths, then all of a sudden, maybe I'll let you off a little bit, but you can set it with a calculator if you need to. Oh, you know, he's 200 points away, whatever it is. But the first one, you're absolutely right. You know, when the specialists have been earned now, there can be no doubt. Early on, Splyce did have a little bit of an advantage, but again, it's going to come down to how well can you defend it now. You have a grab slam, you have a War Machine, all the utility is there. How much do you want to invest defensively?
As much as you need. Splyce really just loves to take their time to try to push the flank. They got accuracy that's kind of the roaming man to keep pressure on the front side of the hill. So he actually has 2 ICRs looking his way. So a main advantage for Splyce to push through the back, but Brack likes dealing with the disadvantage, but this time he can only find one, but the help obviously going to be there. Joe picks up another one as well, and it looks like Splyce. They keep trying to push through the back, and they keep getting stuffed.
We still have a 1 life advantage, but more importantly than the lives right now is going to be the time. Keep your eye on it. Just over 60 seconds left. Looney's been close to streaks really since the first cap. He wants to put himself close enough that he can tack 5 at the right time, earn himself those streaks. A free kill here would definitely help. 125, all he needs. 3 life advantage. As Looney looks to try and be the playmaker. 25 points now after the Tech 5 boost comes through. They're pinching, they're collapsing. Denial could be in some trouble, but Rated wins an important gunfight, but the pressure still coming through. Mance with 1. 2 more Splyce players going to be there, though. Is this the time to potentially grab Slam? Don't think it's going to be now. The problem, Splyce are in the hill.
Well, he does stay alive for a little bit, but obviously, well, all full control going the way to Splyce. So the War Machine's actually going to come out, but Jerd not very fearful at all. I imagine they got the trophy in behind him. He's able to pick up 1, but it's actually a kill trade. Then he got Vance only able to find 1, and Brack invests the War Machine as well. They get the full wipe. You said, what do you want to have to burn on the defensive end? Well, they burned 2 things and successful so far.
So far, that's the key word there. That's a gunfight which you really need to win if you're Vance. Jerd again opens up for Splyce. 23 seconds left. Brack inside the zone defensively. There's 1. Tagged up by his own team there. Hill contested. Can they just try and cherry pick? It's a 5 life advantage for Splyce. You need to see a full team wipe and you're not going to see it. Instead, contested once again, but Tempest is out for Aquid. Can he try and get a chain? 2 shots fired, 2 missed, 3 missed. Alex shuts him down, but again, Splyce still have the advantage. They're still putting pressure over towards the zone. Temp pulls out his War Machine, and that could be that. There's a streak as well, may earn 1 more. 25 points all he needs. Almost through. 3 lives left for Denial, and Splyce teaching Denial how to play on the attacking side.
A little bit funny how these rounds work out. It was like the first one on the attack, Splyce had 220 to try to break into the hill, and they spent the first 2 minutes of that trying to flank all the way around. Final 20 seconds, they bum rush it and manage to get inside and make it a little bit interesting.
A little chaos, yeah.
Even here, they keep trying to flank, it never works out, and they say, hey, just flood the front, and that's where they have success. It's just like, hey, just go straight at him, and Temp apparently will just pick up a wild amount of kills.
Yep.
War Machine beatdowns, reaction time on point, doing everything right.
Obviously, we're early on here, first series, but Tempest 30 and 16. He was phenomenal in the Search and Destroy. Remember plenty of first blood. He had a great hard point. I know he felt like in the finals last event, he did everything he possibly could. You're looking at a player who, it wouldn't surprise me, but at some point during this season walks away with an MVP trophy.
Yeah, so part of me thought for Temp, I was like, all right, obviously one of the best players in the game. There's no dispute of that. But trying to keep up that level of play for an entire year is not easy.
So hard.
Apparently it's not hard for Temp because he really just has been next level in Black Ops 4. So maybe he just give a shout out to Treyarch and say thank you. Maybe he's a Treyarch player, who knows?
Almost like the game was made for him at times. He makes it look so easy, lets the game come to him. Speaking of Temp, Lightning Strike is going to be called in. What will he find? Absolutely nada, but it did force an out inside. Is that going to give Splyce an advantage? Team kill comes through from Brack, but he's able to make up for it. At least finds 2, but Temp, just as soon as he sees his team at a disadvantage, manages to equal the playing field.
Well, now you got Splyce on the defensive end. You got Temp with quite a bit of map pressure early on, but he is by himself. Maybe needs a little bit of help from teammates. Well, he's got 4 players for Denial, potentially going to be hunting him down, but there's the first, the trade. Well, eventually going to be able to end, so he falls, but accuracy, he is absolutely home with an ICR here, but Rated does a little bit of damage, doing a nice job just to stay alive.
And bear in mind, you know, if worse comes to worse here, Rated has vision, Alex has Tempest. On the flip side for Splyce, accuracy is close to his vision. You'd love to see maybe that investment coming just a little earlier, if you're going to invest it at all. All of a sudden, the push comes through. 3 players go down. B almost has 2 ticks. Joe has to just try and stay alive. The support is coming. But how long will it take? A 7th life advantage over 2 ticks now into B. This is a good stand here by Denial, but they need to put this round to bed.
And the best part is they should be able to save the Tempest and the Vision Pulse as well, unless things get out of control. But even though they get white more so than they get their opponent, Vance finding 2 is big because you talk about the life advantage that they have. They just need to get trades, and they got all the time in the world to win this round. But Aqua finds 2, but you're gonna have to do that 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah, you're right, but plenty of time.
Pull out a sniper. Pick them up.
The chance strat.
Rated vision, by the way.
Well, now you have to use it effectively. Accuracy does have his. Does he want to pop it as a counter? It doesn't look like it. More than happy just to sit back, and Accuracy managed to find himself a free kill. Can he find 2? No, he can't. Again, massive life advantage. It's 10-5. Make it 4 as Alex shuts down Temp. We're defensively in the zone. A 4v9 would be a handleable way to close out game number 3. But I think it may be just a little bit too much now. 2 versus 8. Denial can take their time. Don't have to do any reckless pushes. The trades come through, and this one is going the distance. Round 5, inbound.
And I don't necessarily think the vision pulse from Rated was necessary, but I'm also not mad at it. Like, secure the round, you don't want to throw it away. Maybe things get a little bit dicey. So, yes, you do not have that for the round 5, but you at least force the round 5. So, we'll say how much that pays off, how much the decision-making helped them.
And I think it's worth mentioning on the flip side for Accuracy, good decision not to use his as a...
Oh, that'd just be a complete waste. Yeah, that would be awful.
If he just used his there, you know, you're a massive waste. So he has an advantage heading into that round 5. A big advantage at that. Ball hacks always help. In terms of what else is available, Aqua with Tempest. Alex with Tempest.
It would have been the exact same. You would have had a Vision versus or Vision and Tempest going against each other on both teams. But again, not mad at the decision from Rated, but just keep in mind how this round plays out, because if Splyce gets a great use out of theirs, that's going to be the thing of like, you might have had it.
You go back to Splyce's last attacking round, right? We talked about it. They tried to flank a couple times, hasn't really worked out. Last round, they just say, all right, well, we'll push the front. Temp picks up 3 kills, as you know, all sorts of chaos, and well, they win the round. Capped, gone. It comes down to, again, for Denial. How good are you at Spawn Trap?
And the reason you don't want to flood the front is because the ICRs, it's such difficult gunfights to win, but if you can see through walls and you have a Tempest, it gives you clearance. Couple kills going back and forth though, and well, all things even so far, no real advantage.
Now it comes down to plays off Spawn. Alex mid-map, wisely backs away. 49 health. Again, backing away towards teammates. Temp not gonna let him escape though. That is Temp's 37th kill.
It's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I think the record in control,
Oh, here's the vision.
I think it's in the 40s.
Temp might get close. Vision pulse used by Accuracy. Can they find an opening? Well, 50% of it left. No kills come through. Alex has actually popped the Tempest to try and counter it. The kills are coming through. He falls. Jerd with a double. Up close. Splycer in and around B. Temp with 2 as well. This could get scary here for Denial.
Use the vision to get control. You got guys over by post, you got Temp again. Maybe not spawn kill, but once Jerd feels the pressure, he's gonna be there to help him out. And you got Looney, by the way, trying to find Brack, but Brack finds him, and the kills, it looks like they're going the way.
No!
Temp able to find 2. He's able to get inside the hill. The first tick is through. And again, lives essentially all but even.
But here's the problem. Brack has spent so long Spawn Trapping. He's relying on his teammates to pick up this kill. It's taken them so long. Finally, he falls. Brack had such good map control. He didn't want to concede it. Wanted to make sure he kept the pressure on Splyce. And credit to Temp. He stayed alive for quite some time there as he has 41 kills so far. War Machine is available for Brack as well. That might be the difference maker.
And this is it, man. The players on Denial have had problems with decision making on this map. This is where they need to be clutch on gridlock control. And so far, so good. But again, 1 tick is through, the pressure is on Splyce. They got 2 players in the back. Temp just doing whatever he can to stay alive for the moment. So far, so good.
And again, it was Brack so far pushed up. Just trying to delay. Grab Slam used by Benson, at least takes down 1. Was it the right time, though? Could that decision potentially bite them? Now the War Machine is out. It's 14-12. 30 seconds left in the round. Tempest out for Aqua. Everything being invested. It's crunch time here in gridlock control. And Splyce managed to get close enough to at least contest. Now it just simply comes down to winning the gunfights. And it's a good start for Denial. 3, 4 Splyce players go down. And that surely should be that, but you just never know with this Denial's core 3. And this map chance, 17 seconds and a 7 life advantage.
This is just too much pressure. They got kills on the left and right. Temp can find 2, but his teammates are going to fall. Denial should have enough. Rated can find 2 with him. You got a 10v4. You need 4 bodies in the hill. And it's going to be Temp if he can do it. He's got the War Machine. They might have Flak, but no trophy. The second tick is getting close to be through. You only got 4 plays left. The kills go their way.
They're almost got the third tick. It's coming through. Anyone for denial, they're not even going to be close. Temp has got big. Surely the grab's not going to be used. Jerd puts the game to bed. And the curse continues for this denial squad. Temp once again goes big for Splyce. Unbelievable way of closing out game 3. Splyce had all the work to do. A 4 versus 9, they stacked the hill. Temp with a War Machine, Jerd with the grab slam. See ya later, denial. 3-0 to start off CWL London.
Well, Ben, you talk about the 3-0 and why that's important. As tough of a pool as this is going to be, every map matters. It could not have been any better from Splyce the entire time. It was dominant map number 1. The map 2, I don't even want to think about it. It was that easy for Splyce. The map 3, they had to clutch. They had to do something big, and that was what, a 4v9, a 4v10 towards the end. So everything going well.
Here's a quick glance at the other game, which we have to pay close attention to. LG Gen.G. It was Gen.G that won the first map, so no Gen.G special, but LG 5-4. We're up here in game 2 to see if they can try and keep this one close. Gen.G forced that round 11.
And if you remember, these two teams did actually face off at the past event in Fort Worth, and it was Gen.G initially that were a dominant search and destroy team, but their hardpoint was average. Then they obviously picked up Envil for Space Lane and flip-flop. So against LG, they won both the hardpoints, but they lost both the searches.
Bizarre.
And right now, they're just trying to force that round 11, but this is where LG has had the advantage against this team in the past. Gunless makes things at least a little bit curious, but a 3v1, Envoy gets the final kill, and we at least get that round 11, but from the Gen.G camp, from their side of things, that's what they need to fix, right? They got to fix their search and destroy, and, well, obviously see it's a little bit interesting against LG.
Yeah, still one more round there to go in that match, but again, our game on main stage for denial, not the start that they wanted for Splyce, though. I feel like that is the perfect start. We talked a little bit about improvement, you know, from 3rd place to 2nd place, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, if Temp plays like that all event long, I don't think there's many teams that can beat him.
It really is insane too. Like it was in every single game mode. It was the hardpoint doing amazing. It was big War Machine play, literally constant. Everything you could do right, you did incredibly well. Again, if there was ever any dispute about him, which there wasn't, one of the best players in the game. Like also, top 3, top 2. Can he get better than the other guy?
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, look at that.
17-5, fully streaked out, and just, oh dear.
It's pretty impressive stuff from him. It's almost like he heard us. He's like, "Are you talking about Temp? You gonna talk about Temp? Let me show you true MVP." Of course, MVP from last event. 17-5, what a performance. But none of that may matter if you lose this round 11, and already advantage Gen.G. Can they try and close this one out?
I mean, what was the LG special all the way back at Vegas? It was a couple teammates on the side of LG not doing too great, and Gunless is looking around like, guys, what can I possibly need to do more? Because granted they had the streaks and bomb down, but they don't have the man advantage. And if Gunless loses this game with 17 plus kills, that's ridiculous. And you got, well, a man on bomb and a 5v2 in 22 seconds. Formal able to stay alive, but I imagine if they ever get the guy off bomb.
Oh, Formal's just doing everything he possibly can. He's done so well to stay alive. 13 seconds. Formal drops. It's down to Gunless. Major Maniac with the double. And if you're Gunless, you are furious. You have just lost that map.
Just, again, flashbacks. Maybe you talk about how good maybe a Rampart would have been on Gridlock. Well, there's no Rampart anymore. And, well, maybe some players not doing too great on that map like we've seen in the past. But Gunless, a great game. But Gen.G, the one thing they really needed to fix, their search and destroy. They're obviously up 2-0. And that's just an interesting one. Like, now I got to see these guys against Splyce.
Yeah, and again, bear in mind for that pool how important map wins are going to be. You know, in terms of your overall record, if Gen.G come out in 3-0 LG, all of a sudden that pool is even scarier than potentially it was at the beginning of the day. But I mean, we talked about, you know, not wanting to maybe jump the gun on the denial squad, but their first series didn't go well. Not looking as good as we wanted or expected. As now we'll jump over towards one of the Bravo games, United versus Team Envious, and it's United with the advantage here.
Good God. Like, obviously we couldn't see the map number 2, but that 2-0, like, just from the side of Envy, like, that quick, because I think United would have been, you know, many people's favorites to at least, like, a top 4, if not an outright victory. So people have very high expectations for the squad, but Envy, just the new roster being formed, apparently full speed ahead. Well, it looks like maybe in the control thing's a little bit different because United is going to be poised to win this second round to go up 2-0. But talk about the roster change being made. So far, good looks for Envy.
I mean, great looks, right? 2-0 up in the series. In terms of this one, you are 1-0 down. It's a 2v5. All right, Decimate, show us what you've got. Not much.
Well,
in that situation, a horrible situation to find yourself in. As United now, 2-0 up. Potentially good start. Maybe a reverse sweep. Don't want to jump the gun though.
well, okay. And so I was talking about for Denial, I don't like making hot takes. I want to see more stats, but then the point was their pool is so difficult that you kind of have to make those evaluations that quickly. I think for this pool, it's not the same thing. I think for Pool C, it's a little bit easier, if not just outright a ton easier than Pool A and Pool number B. So Envy obviously looking great so far, but even if they falter a little bit, they got to go against EG, a phase team that's a little bit new. So I have more faith in them to get better as the tournament goes on. I don't think if they lose like their first series, they're outright done. I think even if they lose, which they're still doing great anyway, there's still a lot of potential for the team.
A lot of games as well, still to be played. That's going to be the crucial things. Back over towards the United Envious game. United 2-0 up. It was a great start for Envy, but as of right now, struggling in this control.
Of course, you see the KN as well. I don't know if we're going to see it from every team. It looked like Denial wasn't on the KN hype train, but I think maybe half the teams will pull it out. So Silly picks up a couple. Of course, you talk about Silly getting a couple. Well, United, they just get the full-on wipe on the hill, which, well, you talk about it happening quite frequently where you get the zone A on offense pretty easily, but United on the way there get themselves a pretty disgusting life advantage, and RCD gets streaks. So United obviously trying to turn things around, working on that reverse sweep.
Good way of getting a little bit of momentum. That's for sure. Again, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, what happened with Splyce Denial? I was excited to watch. Well, temp happened to Splyce Denial. And that series was over 3-0. Very, very fast. It's United currently even in terms of lives, 2020. Minute 52 to go, but the big advantage is going to be RCD's and their streaks.
Do you remember that time, all the way back on Gridlock Hardpoint, where I was like, hey, I really like Ace, that man AR. I think you'll actually do pretty well. Not so much on this map.
Yep.
Triple negative for the moment, but maybe him and Clayster are just taking turns on having a bit of a poor performance, but
Legendary battle right there.
I don't know. I mean, the only way to accomplish reverse sweeps is if you lose the first two maps, and maybe that's what United has in their mind.
Yeah, maybe. Right? Something like that.
And then it's not even the Ace versus Clay. You also got Silly versus the old United team. You got storylines all over the place, man.
You do. Of course, for Ace and Clay, part of a historic team. One of the biggest dynasties Call of Duty's ever seen. One off. On the flip side, Silly and the United squad. What a story they had at times. But since then, Silly's been finding his own, especially on this game. He's had some tremendous performances, but for now, at least, it looks like this one is almost over. The trip cap coming through. United looking good here on Gridlock Control as Brasini looking to just try and add some salt into the wound. Doesn't even need to. The life count was in their favor. A very swift dispatch there of Team Envious. 3-0 chance in the control.
It's always funny when you see, like, normally when the Tempest is missing shots, that's when, like, oh, yeah, you miss your shots, then you lose the hill or things don't go well. Pristini, like, didn't hit a single one, and then his team completely wiped everybody out. And so, yeah, it doesn't make a difference. You don't need the Tempest to win these games on Gridlock Control, but I don't know. United, again, I don't know exactly what happened on the map 2, but the map 1, it was Clay went 8-25. If maybe he heats things up for the map number 4, they can force it to that final one.
And obviously we talked about Aches and using an assault rifle. It's been funny because at the very beginning of his career, he was always a sub guy, right? He was always a player who was going to use that sub, and he was aggressive and fantastic at it. Then he started at times to pull out the AR, and he was kind of heavily criticized. A lot of people said, no, he is a sub player, he's only using a sub. Now all of a sudden we've got to the point where, just in terms of the way he can lead a team, the way we've seen him lead a team throughout his entire career, you almost want him in a 5v5 format to use the AR. You feel he's going to be more beneficial sitting back, kind of dictating to the troops, if you will, being able to see everything in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, the way I view Aches as a player, obviously great leader has to be like the first thing like said, but at the same time, Jetpack games were not very kind to him at all, right? Like that's where things got a little bit rougher.
Sure. A little dicey,
Instantly goes back to boots on the ground, boom, world champ, like right out of the gates. And the boots on the ground is the slower, more methodic play where you can call everything out, which makes sense for him to be the AR player instead of the Maddox in this game. So makes perfect sense to me for those guys to make that switch.
Well, that's going to be everything from myself and Chance for now. Still a ton of games still to go. We can send it back to Katie and the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. And again, we are moving things along here at CWL London, and I need to talk right away, of course, our desk, Study, Pac-Man, and Nameless, about that 3-0 from Splyce onto Denial. Right off the bat, Study, what are your thoughts, especially with the new roster on Denial?
Well, Denial, obviously, they haven't been a team for that long.
Right.
Splyce have been a team since the beginning of the game. There's only one thing I want to take from that. It was just the inconsistency out of certain players. We saw Rated not have a really good performance, and we always talk about Alex, how he was supposed to be back in the Pro League, was always one of the top slayers of what he was doing. But then overall, the player for me that really stood out that series was just Bance. We always talk about Bance was like the weak link for the Red Reserve team back when it was on that team. But just overall, the guy was just putting on a show, and if his team is able to pick it up, we expect Alex to slay and Rated to do what he does with an AR, they'll be okay.
I think that, playing against Splyce, that's a really tough test for your first match on LAN with your new roster. You've had a few weeks to practice and get better, but you're going against a team that's been top 3 at the last 2 tournaments and pretty much great throughout the entire Pro League as well. So that's definitely a really tough test. They do get 3-0'd, and Temp was on MVP form right there. Like, he had 9,500 damage. That's unprecedented. You don't see that happen very often in a respawn map, so he's definitely ready to go. I think that we need to see this team play, or this Denial team play a couple other teams before we can make a judgment just yet. But yeah, that's that first match. Maybe a little bit of jet lag kicking in for them too.
Well, the first match on LAN, like they should have won that third match, third map at least, and that might affect them later on.
Yeah, they were up like 5 or 6 lives or something right there at the end.
They just got breaking down 3-7. They got breaking down on that last push. That's just something that happens when you haven't played it for a while against a team that's battle tested at this point. Now you have to work out those kinks.
Yeah. And Study, I think that's an interesting point talking about Bance. He got a lot of criticism for a long time on Red Reserve, but now finally on a different team and perhaps, different players, different team, he can shine a little bit more, show us where his skill ceiling actually may be.
Yeah, it's good because he has players, Joe. Alex is going to be running a Maddox. Bance is going to be running a SOG with Joe. So the fact that he's able to at least pick up his slaying department. What he was doing in that third map, he was 17-6 at a point, and they were still losing. But that's just something you have to take consideration. That, all right, he was probably one of our worst players like in the Pro League, and this guy just came out in first match and just absolutely dominated. If his teammates are just able to pick it up, they'll be okay.
Yeah, Bance is good in Europe. I remember last year in Birmingham, it was his best tournament the entire year. He just played amazing. So we'll see, maybe, kind of with that home field advantage of the crowd, if he can play a little bit better in front of these guys.
Yeah, we will have to see, but we are going to head over now to Jess, who's on stage with Splyce.
Thank you, Katie. We've got Temp here. How are you guys settling in as far as jet lag and all that goes?
Me personally, I'm perfectly fine. I was cashing out the casino, but Lamar's kind of sick, so I'm gonna try to step it up for him.
All right, that was a great way to start off. What were you expecting heading into this first match of CWL London?
I don't know. I thought we were gonna win. I didn't know if it was like how we're gonna win, because this first match, certain things can get a little sketchy, but we took it pretty good.
So we've seen a lot of other teams that have had roster changes, many of them, in fact. What does it mean to you guys to be kind of still sticking together?
I actually don't know. I literally don't know what to say. I don't know at all.
All right, well, fair enough. Thank you so much for the interview. This has been your PlayStation Instant Reaction. We're going to head back over to Katie at the desk.
Thank you very much, Jess. And again, that was Temp with Splyce, who did 3-0 Denial there on the main stage. But we want to move things along, tell you a little roundup of what's been happening on the rest of these streams. Of course, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, open bracket. We're going to bring that up for you in just a second. But I believe moving through, we've got Envy's I think 2-1 right now against EU. I think there's a couple teams that have been moving along. But, I mean, that result, what were we kind of expecting out of that?
We don't really know what to expect out of this.
It seems like a little
team.
slow start from EU right now, maybe.
I guess Envy's a really solid roster on paper, so you expect them to be a very good team. Going against United, they're a fairly new team as well, if you really think about it. And United was a team that they're really good at search and destroy. Their hardpoint was getting better from their last roster with this new one. But going up against Envy, you're playing great slayers. It's going to be a tough match, and we're seeing them get tested right in the very beginning.
Well, and to that point again with that new roster on Envy's side.
Well, what I like to see out of the new roster on Envy was that we saw like an average game out of Hook, and they won. Yeah. Everyone on the team stepped up across the board, and that was just so much different from their last iteration of the roster, where it felt like it was always on Hook's hands to bring those wins forward. And now they have a more balanced roster.
Well, that's a great point, too. Like, as you said, a lot in Pro League, we would see people relying heavily on that one. You can't always rely on Temps. You can't always rely on Hooks or Gunless. So if you have a well-formed team around you, especially with Pharaoh and Decimate coming on, and I'm sure Pharaoh will be back on the stage, too, Study, to be able to be playing again now that he's been moved over from 100 Thieves.
Oh, definitely. for him and Decimate, both of them just coming back into the Pro League, they have to be feeling overwhelmed, just happy. They're able to pull out this series, hopefully, because they won the S&D versus United, won it in a 5-5 fashion. And when you're adding Decimate and Pharaoh, that's their main game mode that they've just been playing their entire lives. So when you're able to go up 2-1, they lost the control. It's probably United's best game mode. But even if they lose this next hard point, I'm expecting them to close at the last S&D.
I think we're ready now to pull up those results for you to see again how things are starting to play out here. There's still a lot of time left at CWL London, but as you can see on your screen, United, of course, FaZe Clan up 2-1 in their map counts as we move things along, but Splyce taking one of the very, very first wins of the day. But we're about to figure out, I think, Pac, a couple of these are almost done, so we'll see how these teams start to shuffle. Yeah,
Luminosity was actually 5-5 in that game, number 2 versus Gen G. Curious to see how that one went. We peeped into that one, and I think Gunless was 15-4 going off for them. So that's going to be a huge map for them to take if they've won it, to push that series. You know, going down 0-2 to Gen G, that's a team that's so good at respawn that they're most likely going to take one of the next 2.
For me, it's I saw that the pool C to me seems to be the most balanced from top to bottom. FaZe and those guys 2-1, the match Envy United 2-1. That right there, these first matches can set the tone for the rest of the week for these guys, for the rest of the weekend, excuse me.
Well, and some people I want to talk about too. We're going to tease it a little bit before we move on. But again, coming up, it's going to be 100T versus Reciprocity there on the main stage, Nameless. And that's going to be kind of that rematch coming off of Fort Worth, where, of course, 100 Thieves lost.
Yeah, I mean, Presto was sick at that point, so they were using Pharaoh as a fill-in. So they did play again in the Pro League, and that's when 100 Thieves beat them pretty handedly. But here there's, you know, sort of something a little bit different. That crowd is going to be screaming Reciprocity's name. They want them to win, and Reciprocity are going to be very fired up. And I think it really is just going to rely on the shoulders of Zed and Dylan. I think those guys, we saw them in the Pro League. They weren't at the form that they were in Fort Worth, where they were just dominating with those SOGs. If they can do that here in London, I think that they have a very good chance to go extremely far in this tournament. But it relies on their shoulders. They have to play like they did because they are the heart and soul of that roster when it comes to the respawns.
That is very true. But we will get right back to that analysis in a little bit when we get back from this break.
What is that?